Why is that song running through my head? It has been a very unusual week here in the United States. Didn't get everything done I wanted to do this week because kind of was way too much time glued to the tube, way too nervous, not even sleeping, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to see what the heck is going on. Got to stop that. Anyway, so, but the reason that song is actually on my head, in my mind, in spite of the fact that it's somehow too appropriate for today, but is I had a lesson, really interesting lesson yesterday. Oh, by the way, it's Friday. We're into November, and finally it's cooling down. I can leave the doors open. I don't have to run the air conditioner in here and stuff, you know. So, and anyway, it's Friday, November 6th. Last 3 days for life in Pennsylvania, and a lesson I had yesterday with Larry, our videographer from camp. Speaking of camp, I guess I'm going to divert into that. The camp videos are like, I've got them stashed now, ready to put up. So anybody who's been looking for IGC videos, they'll be around soon for the campers. Anyway, but he asked me about Gimme Shelter, and I thought, yeah, you know what I know about it is it's in an open E tuning. And most of the stuff that Keith Richards comes up with are fairly easy little licks. That you only need a couple of strings to play on. And, you know, as many of you know, he even in so many of his open G tunings takes the sixth string off just to have it out of the way. But he plays a few in open E. Now, I'm not a fan of open E because you can also do anything in E by going to open D and just capoing it, which I think my lesson on Little Martha works that way. But just because on an acoustic guitar, just tuning strings up, that's what you have to do. I guess I'm going to turn this into a whole little treatise or a primer on tunings. I didn't mean to do that. I kind of had a different plan for I didn't really have a plan. That's the usual thing. But let me get to the point of what materialized in Larry's lesson. Is that if you're in an open E tuning, the three strings that you have on the fifth, fourth, and third strings are these three notes that are part of an E chord: the fifth, the root, and the third. So that's what these strings sound like open. If I play them further up the neck. Well, I did all that whole shaping an E chord, right? And then just added the appropriate notes to get whatever we needed. I mean, the little melody that we needed. But you could also play this in an open G tuning, but then you have the next set of strings. The fourth, third, and second strings are the same relationship. In other words, in my G chord, I've got the fifth, the root, and the third there. So any place I play that, like if I play an A chord, or a B chord, or a C sharp chord, now I've got the opening chord, and I'm in standard tuning. Because in an open G tuning, these three strings don't get changed. So I'm going to have to pursue this a little bit more because I haven't really thought it through until like just a little before I turned on the camera here. And my guess is everything that happens in Gimme Shelter can be done just as easily in standard tuning as in, there's one trickier part. That's a little trickier, but nothing really. Anyway, my point here is that the way Keith may have come up with this song was just by picking up his guitar in the E tuning and screwing around and finding something that was kind of cool. And he may not have thought it through to the point where you don't have to have it in an open E tuning to do anything that he does in there. Now, I could be wrong on that. I have to do more research. Doesn't mean it's too early for me to make that call. Okay, that is, I think, what I mostly want to talk about here. I have been playing not very much because, oh man, too much TV. Gotta knock it off, but that's about to change. I'll be right back with a few. We did have a couple of really interesting lessons this week, just around the corner. Well, I can't remember the horn part. I worked out for Lawrence many years ago. But I hope everybody had a chance to check out Bob's lesson on 25 or 6 to 4. Just a ton of information in there about how to play the easy part. I mean, how to play a basic rhythm guitar part, which is pretty straightforward. And you need a few bar chords, but it's mostly not even power chords. It's mostly just octaves. Gotta be careful on that one to get the E's. That's what you should do. Let me think. Anyway, so I want to thank Bob for coming up with another gem of a lesson to go along with the Stevie Wonder and John Lennon lessons that we've had. So don't know what he's got planned for next month. We're hoping, we pretty much hope he does a lesson a month, because they're just, anyway, treat to watch his lesson on 25 or 6 to 4. Let's see. I had a lot of fun putting together the lesson on Reason to Believe, and that sort of got inspired by Vanessa's lesson last week, the Tim Hardin lesson on how can we hang on to a dream. And so I hope you had a chance to check out the lesson, because I'd give a little bit of info about some of the different ways people did it, because Tim Hardin's version, Tim is basically just a folk country strummer. Doesn't do anything too tricky. Does a little bit of finger picking, and we'll be doing some more finger picking songs. This is the one that didn't happen this week. And part of it is, just like in Reason to Believe, well, I guess I should save that for what I'm talking about next week. Let's just finish up this week, because I think that's basically what we had, was the Reason to Believe, and we're continuing with the series, the Fretboard Freedom. We're kind of wrapping it up. There's only one more episode that I actually might get that out tomorrow. We can work on the weekends around here, especially when we goof off a little during the week. And that'll complete that. And then people, because we've had a lot of people ask about where to start with music theory. And I think we got the answer there. That's one of them. We, of course, have the Acoustic Genius series, too, that... what was that one started? Oh, that was all those fundamentals thing. Yeah, it was like seven long lessons. So I hope people are brushing up on some of the theory lessons, guitar geography, some of that kind of stuff. And so the last lesson on the Fretboard Freedom thing, or the one that came out this week, was all about diatonic chords. Now, I hope everybody kind of understands what we mean by the term diatonic. It really just means notes of a scale, generally a major or a minor scale. But even modes can be brought into that. But it really just means notes revolving around a tonic, a home. So when I play a chromatic scale, it doesn't matter where I stop or start, because I'm just playing all 12 notes around the clock. I had to do a short little, I got to get these up for you guys. Little presentation for the fifth graders at Silver Oak here in San Jose. And the last one we talked about, I think I might have mentioned this because it was last week. We talked about things like Rock Around the Clock and Elvis Presley and Buddy Holly. Speaking of Buddy, that's going to be part of the next discussion. Never mind. Off on the tangent. Okay. I got to wrap this up as far as what was it. That was it. So kind of a mixed bag of stuff this week. Little theory, little folk song, and a little rock and roll with Chicago. Well, it was a thrill and a joy to see some of the stuff on the forum this week. In particular, seeing our long lost friend Michelle rose from the ashes of or the COVID of Sydney, and got back involved with some great comments, and especially helping out with the review of Ironic. I loved all the comments in there, and again, more uploads would be great. Our teachers are sitting around waiting for things to do, and but Michelle, it was great to hear from you, and we got to get a link. I will work on getting some of your collaborations back up. I think we may have misplaced that forum, but it doesn't mean that it's all disappeared. But I think it's just maybe not part of the thread that's happening yet. So, because we got to see more of the time zone zombies. That was it, right? Okay. Anyway, welcome back, and look forward to seeing more of your stuff soon. Let's see. I did mention last week. Oh, I put something up for our COA people, but didn't get any response. So if any COA members are out there, we were trying to put together a webinar for tomorrow, but because of lack of response, it's not going to happen. So, so COA people, please check the COA forum, because I have put a few little requests and questionnaires and things out there. So. Let's see. I think that was it. Oh, and I did mention a little while ago, but I'll have more info on this, that we do have, in spite of the fact that we missed camp this year, which would have been about 6 weeks ago, we do have videos from the older camps, or from last year's camp, 2019. The last camp we'll ever do at Asilomar, I think, but because next time we're back here in Los Gatos at the presentation, the old presentation center called Green Mountain Retreat. Maybe in April, if not in September. So, okay, that is it for there. I will come back with a little info about next week. Sometime whenever I go into drop D tuning, that song just pops into my fingers. Of course, and one of the reasons is I've got a couple students who have been working on it lately, one in particular. So we've been working on a lot of drop D stuff. And that leads me a little to one of the things that I'm hoping to get finished by next week. I do have to finish. I got to apologize again for not finishing It Doesn't Matter. You know, something happened with It Doesn't Matter that similar development with Reason to Believe. I sometimes think, oh, this song's going to be really easy to knock out. Just do, there's not too much going on in the song. I can show it to anybody pretty quickly. And then I start thinking, oh, I got to talk a little bit about Rod Stewart's version and Glenn Campbell's version and the Carpenters' version. And now I start thinking about getting this lesson on It Doesn't Matter anymore. And I'm kind of like, well, we got to talk about Linda's version, maybe Buddy's, maybe Eva Cassidy's. Anyway, it just compounds itself. And anyway, that'll be done next week. We're adding a new artist. I think I might have mentioned this last time because this also ran into a snag. But Lady Antebellum, who I think now is going by Lady A, trying to be a little more politically correct. So we've got a song of theirs coming up from Vanessa. And I got something from Max. Oh, Lenny Kravitz, Are You Gonna Go My Way? So we got that ready to roll out. And this whole drop D thing turned into another classic. And I think I played a little of this last week, but I'm kind of getting the hang of it now. Time for another John Fahey piece. That is, of course, St. Louis Blues, written in 1914 by W.C. Handy, and it's not a traditional blues. Of course, it wasn't, because blues wasn't even really yet traditional by songwriters, but saw a couple of really cool videos of him playing this on Ed Sullivan's show before it was called The Ed Sullivan Show. And anyway, so that's the rest of what is on dock, or on tap, I guess, along with the Anchor Christmas ale. There's some of that floating around here now that it's almost wintertime. Oh, and then I got to get back to, man, okay, I promised that 2 years ago. It's coming up in the next few weeks. I got to relearn it first, though. Okay, that is it for November 6th. I will be back next Friday.